Hi, shalom friends. There are many, many beautiful buildings in this world. There's the Taj Mahal, one of the seven wonders, the Eiffel Tower, the White House maybe, the Hermitage, on and on and on. But actually for us Jewish people, the most beautiful building was the Holy Temple. It was a magnificent edifice. In fact, there's a Talmudic saying that in the times of King Herod, the expression was, whoever did not see that temple never truly saw beauty. And even the way we have the descriptions given, we get a sense of awesome majesty. Now, there were many entrances to the Holy Temple. All of them, of course, had large doors. And you could have many materials to make a door. Usually it's wood. They didn't have plastic in those days. And no matter how intricate and carved the wood was, it would not equal were it to have been overlaid with gold. So the rabbis actually tell us, as the Jewish people increased in their reservoirs of gold, eventually all of the doors were gold plated, which gold, of course, is a royal, majestic material. And not only that, being that the temple was on a mountain, the Temple Mount, it would reflect the rays of the sun. So it was really something awesome. But there was one set of doors that were made out of copper. Now, one interpretation is copper also reflects, so they left it. But these doors had a special history to it. They were called the Doors of Nikana. And the way the Talmud relates it is that there was a very good-natured, generous Jew who wanted to donate something of beauty to the temple. In those days, Egypt was known for its copper and its workmanship. So he traveled to Alexandria, and he had two gigantic doors overlaid with copper. Of course, to transport this back to Israel, there was no, camels big enough to do it. So they transported it by ship from Alexandria to Akko in Israel. In this journey, which is not that very far, a storm broke out, and the sailors realized that they have to lighten the load of the boat. The heaviest were these gigantic, massive doors that were overlaid with copper. And they said to Nikana, we're really very sorry. We understand how much money and effort you put into this, but we're going to drown. So they lifted the doors and they threw it into the sea. And of course, it began to sink. And this generous, benevolent man felt his heart breaking. He had gone all the way, spent all of his fortune to bring a gift to God to honor his holy home, and look where one of them is going. But the storm did not abate, and it was about to capsize, and they said to Nikana, we're really sorry, we have to throw the second door. This was already too much for him. He said, if you throw the door, throw me with it. In other words, I can't exist without the door. And he sort of, figuratively speaking, held on to the door. When God saw his dedication and his commitment, he stopped the storm, and they were able to proceed on calm waters until they came to the dock in Israel. Of course, though Nikana was overjoyed he was able to save one of the doors, he sorrowed over the other door. But as they were coming closer to dock, they noticed a remarkable sight. The door that had been cast overboard miraculously followed the boat, and as the boat docked, they were able to give both of these doors to the temple. Because these doors were given with so much love and devotion, and a miracle occurred because of it, they never changed the material. It came with copper, and it remained with copper. A beautiful story. It's well known, the story. And the doors were well known, the doors of Nikana. One question that comes to mind is, why was Nikana so adamant not to throw the second door? Ultimately, he couldn't use even one door. They wouldn't put one door where you needed two. So essentially, once the first door was destroyed, then the second door would be redundant. And yet, in the story, he says, if you throw the second, you'll have to kill me with it. And it was precisely that moment in which the miracle takes place, where the store abates, and the other door, which is already sinking in the sea, is going to be following the wake of the boat. So one interpretation given is that this actually showed his act of determination of do not throw over the second door, actually demonstrated the sincerity of his donation. You see, and now I'm doing this as a perhaps. It does not say written as a commentary, but I believe this might be one of the interpretations. And that is, when Nikana offered to bring these two doors to Hashem, as a human being, there might have been an element of pride or ego. I am bringing something of great value to the Almighty. Oh, people forever will see what I was able to accomplish. And of course, one does not have to think that that was his sole intention. It might very well have been one of the subtle intentions, without maybe even being conscious of it. But when he knew that his doors would not be appreciated, but yet his desire was to bring a gift to God, that sincerity and that truthfulness changed everything. And God said, this man truly wants to honor me. He's not thinking about himself. And as a result, if he wants to truly honor me, he's worthy of a miracle. I tell over this story because it's important for us to remember that accomplishments are not necessarily measured in what you could touch and feel. An accomplishment in the eyes of God is what you want to accomplish. Your effort, your sincerity, your dedication, your commitment, your hard effort, your toil. That's very important to Hashem. You have to do what you can do to serve God. Whether or not you'll ultimately be successful is up to God. But as a human and as a Jew, we have to give it all we got. It's always so startling to me that everyone takes for granted that if you're going to be a lawyer, you have to put years of study. If you're going to be a doctor, you have to have years of intensive study. If you want to be a licensed plumber, you have months or maybe years. And then there's also being an apprentice. If you want to be outstanding in any field, you have to put effort. As a matter of fact, even being healthy, you have to no pain, what do they say? No gain. The only one thing that we would love to come easy is being spiritual. Somehow we want Judaism and our connection to God through Torah and mitzvahs to be pleasant. And a little bit of effort is already a reason like, oh, it's not for me. It's raining outside, no shul. I have a little headache, no study. It's tight in business, no charity. It's like we don't want any effort to be put into something which is beyond measure, holy, great, and awesome. When Hashem, though, sees our efforts that we put into getting closer to Him, and the amount of toil, literally toil, work, that we put into making a holiday, making a Shabbos, giving the tzedakah, having a kosher home, etc., those accomplishments are very precious in the eyes of the Almighty, and it should give us great encouragement. So I'd like to end with a short story which I heard from Rabbi Biederman about the Ger Rebbe. In the yeshiva of Ger, there was an orphan. I don't know if he was orphaned from his mother or orphaned from his brother, from his father, but he was a wonderful yeshiva student, but he suffered a lot. So when all of his friends had two parents, he only had one. And there was a lot of challenges that he had to overcome, having only one parent, and that one parent was supporting him and his siblings, always busy, etc., etc. And one day he sees the Ger Rebbe, the Pnei Menachem, and he says, Rebbe, why do I have to suffer so much? All my friends have it so much easier. What is it why is God doing this to me? And he gave a very profound answer. He says, there are two forms of locomotion. You could go in a car, that will bring you from point A to point B. You could go in a tank, and it will go from point A to point B. If I asked you which one is more comfortable, it wouldn't be a question. Of course, a car. When you're going in a car, it's pleasant. There's air conditioning. You can listen to music. It's great. It goes much faster. So a car, with its comfort, certainly seems to be much more attractive than a tank. But then there are things that a tank could accomplish that a car cannot. A tank could go through sand, it could go over rocks, it could go through obstacles. It has the energy to tow a tremendous amount of weight. So he then said to this young orphan, he said, your friends are in cars. They're in a much more comfortable position in their life growth. But they won't be able to handle challenges and obstacles because they never had it before. But right now, you're in a very uncomfortable, strenuous type of a situation. It's not easy. I feel for you. But I assure you that the struggles that you put in now will become assets and strength. And in the future, if you ever have to go through a handicap, through an obstacle, you will have the strength of a tank. So in conclusion, the Jewish people have had times when we were like in a car, perhaps 2021, in the secular, and there have been many, many times where we've been in a tank situation. We've been moving, but slow progress, very uncomfortable. But Jewish history has given us the resilience and the strength that nothing can stop us. So as we head towards the home stretch, hoping and praying and anticipating that even before Passover begins, we'll already be in the land of Israel. As we say, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, by next year in Jerusalem, let's take the strength that we've accumulated over generations and generations of dedication to Hashem and use the comfort that we have today, where it's pleasant to study, pleasant to pray, and gratifying to give. Let's merge the car and the tank and truly be thankful and have faith that Hashem will continue this journey together with us in the Holy Land. Amen.